I'd better arrange to send her to the hospital.
Is that absolutely necessary?
I would say so, Miss Bennett. Asthma attacks can be very serious in small babies. It's best to be on the safe side.
But you don't know it's asthma.
Exactly. I'm not a doctor. That's why I think she should be sent for a full examination.
Will she be there long?
I shouldn't think so. They'll just keep her in for a while for observation, then send her back with some medication.
Oh, Elizabeth, we've got so little time left together. Why did you have to get sick now?
How are the redecorating plans going?
Well, I called into the shop this morning and met Sarah Forrest. Either she or her partner will call in one evening to discuss it. It was rather strange, actually. I feel sure I've met her somewhere before.
Oh, that often happens. Perhaps she has a double.
It's just at the back of my mind that I've seen her photo or something. Could you bring me the files from the storeroom?
You don't expect to find it among them.
I can't say. All I know is I'm convinced I've seen her somewhere before, and for some reason I associate her with the prison.
Oh, bloody damn.
Latham!
Stupid flame.
Will you stop swearing, Latham?
It's all stuck, innit? Well, I don't know why I couldn't wear my uniform. You just don't want me going to see Elizabeth, that's it, innit?
It might surprise you to know that a lot of people don't like seeing prisoners wandering around. You're lucky to be allowed out anyway.
It's the keys to the van.
Thanks. Sign out, Latham.
Where'd they take the baby?
Wentworth General.
Isn't that where Burns is working?
If we see her, we're to ignore her. Mrs. Davidson's worried she may lose her job if too many people find out about her. If you ask me, she'll do that anyway without any help from us.
Fletcher? Yes, Mrs. Davidson, I'll be right there.
Can we go now, please, Miss Bennett?
When I'm ready.
Well, Elizabeth will be wondering where I am.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. And besides, they'll take better care of her than you seem to have taken.
Come in. Oh, sit down, please, Mr. Fletcher. I saw Sarah Forrest this morning. She and her partner seem more than experienced enough to do my redecorating.
I'm glad to hear it.
They were highly recommended by everyone but yourself.
Is that all you wanted to see me about, Mrs. Davidson?
I was interested to know why you didn't want me to use her.
I don't like bringing my private life to work.
No other reason?
No.
So you weren't afraid I might recognize her?
Recognize her? Would you mind explaining what all this is about?
Oh, she seemed familiar, that was all. I mentioned it, but I had the impression she didn't want me to remember where we'd met.
And that's why you're going through all these files. You think she's done time.
I haven't found anything as yet.
She's been nowhere near a prison. And even if she had been, she's done a darn good job of making up for it and starting a new life.
I was just curious to know where we'd met.
Or were you worried that I might be mixing with an ex-prisoner?
Then I take it you know all about her past.
I know all I need to know. But I won't be seeing her again, so there's no problem. You see, she wiped me when she found out what I did for a living. Now, before that incriminates her, I found that most people find my job pretty distasteful, and I can't say I blame them after this fantastic bit of persecution.
I think you've said quite enough, Mr. Fletcher. That will be all.
You know, you disappoint me, Mrs. Davidson. You're the first to advocate these women be given an opportunity to make it on the outside. You should practice what you preach.
Take a temperature every 2 hours and let me know if there's any change. Poor little thing. Imagine being raised in a prison. Well, you know what these women are like. You can't expect them to look after them properly. They know they'll be fostered out.
Start on the beds. Elizabeth, what's she doing here? What are you doing to her?
I'd like a word with you, Doreen.
She's going to be okay, isn't she?
Dr. Henderson and myself are the only ones who know you've been in prison.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
What do you think would happen if the patients found out? Now, we're expecting the mother in soon. She's been told not to say anything, but... Well, I think it would be better if you weren't here. You can take the dirty linen down to the laundry. Doreen must wait at admission. She knows these children as soon as they're brought in.
Elizabeth. Oh, how is she?
It's bronchitis. We've put her on fluids and we've given her an antibiotic. Now it's just a matter of keeping her under observation.
Well, when can I have her back?
Well, that depends on her condition.
They're taking her away from me soon, see? And I just want to see as much of her as I can.
Of course.
This hospital's real good, and I'll look after her real well.
Haven't
Haven't you got something to do, Doreen?
She's a real little beaut, isn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, lady, could you get out of my way? Not too close to the baby, you could give it germs.
Doreen!
You shouldn't be allowed anywhere near children, Burns. Reading a few Mothercraft books in prison and you think you know it all.
You're lucky there were only nurses in the ward. I hope for your sake they won't say anything.
Well, she didn't have to go and lag on me like that.
Oh, look, just do this again. You've been shown a dozen times how to make a bed properly.
You can have your hands full with that one, sister.
I haven't had one complaint in all the time I've been in charge of this ward. I don't intend to let that happen now.
You'll have to keep your eye on her. She was one of the main troublemakers at Wentworth.
Well, at least she's enthusiastic.
Oh, she's too irresponsible for that to last too long. But I'm sure you'll be able to keep her in line.
As if I didn't have enough on my shoulders. I'm sorry, we don't want to tire her out.
Look, if she don't go to sleep straight off, she likes to be sung to, you know? Or you can rock her for a while.
She's in good hands.
Come on, Latham.
You will let me know how she's going, won't you?
Give 'em all my love, Chrissy.
Hurry up, Latham.
Yeah, you bet I will. And don't let 'em get at you, love. It's better out than in, no matter what. Ta-da.
When you finish there, you can clean the floors.
But the cleaners did them this morning. Anyway, I was going to read a story to Steve.
You are a nurse's aide, Doreen, which means you do as you're told. Besides, you've spent too much time with the children and not enough doing your job.
Yes, Miss Bennett. Oh, I mean Sister Brooks.
I got all the time in the world to write, but ask for a minute by yourself to do it in. Well, somehow I got 5 minutes before heading back to the salt mines. Oh, one bit of good news. Doreen's out and working in a hospital, the children's ward. I reckon it'll be the making of her. Lord knows, someone from this dump's got to make good. I don't know, Ken. Seems we're getting them younger in here all the time.
Okay, what's wrong, honey?
I just expect someone to start shooting at me again.
Listen, your trial's over. No one's going to try and get at you anymore.
But that didn't stop them getting at Joe.
Well, he could have done that himself, couldn't he? Now, you stop worrying. I'm going to look after you, okay?
You can't keep your hands to yourself, can you, Brian? Why don't you save that perverted behavior for your cell where no one else can see it?
The only one perverted around here is him, I can tell you that.
Dad!
Oh, hello. Stay where you are, Morris. You'll have to check in at reception first, Mr. Morris.
All right, you are.
He looks a nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
Is Elizabeth okay?
She's stable.
Oh, what a good little girl. See? I told you you'd be okay.
You should be finished that by now.
Well, how's my favourite daughter, then? Okay, settling in all right?
You make it sound like I'm still at boarding school.
Well, what I meant was if anyone's given you any trouble, just tell me or Mrs. Jackson and we'll put a stop to it, right?
No one's bothering me.
Trace, certain feelings get mixed up when you're cut off from a normal sort of life. It's like being a boarding school. You get attached to certain girls.
You mean crushes?
Oh, yeah. Except that you're 20 now. You're a young woman, and you're mixing with women a lot older than yourself. Those feelings shouldn't exist anymore.
What are you talking about?
Well, certain officers have seen you and that woman you share a room with in compromising situations. It's got nothing to do with Mrs. Jackson.
That's a revolting thing to say. She might have hugged me, but that's all. What's wrong with that?
Nothing, darling, except she's a lesbian. You know that. Her feelings will be different. I just don't want her to turn you into something that could affect the whole of your life.
You think I'd do that?